Good afternoon. I'm Cadet Broker, and I'll be your PL for this Operation Hercules Fate. Before I begin my op order, make sure to get something out to write with and take notes during this brief. Task organization. First squad, you'll be my security squad. First squad leader, I need you to organize 2 3-man teams that will serve as our RNS teams. One member from each RNS team will need a SAW, so communicate with the weapons squad leader or the force squad leader. Figure out how you want to organize that. Second and third squad will be my Assault 1 and Assault 2 elements. And fourth squad, as I mentioned earlier, will be my weapons squad. Weapons squad leader or Weasel. You'll be a part of the SNO team, and we'll pick 2 other members from your squad to join you. One member needs an M240 Bravo, again, to help with security. Now let's orient ourselves on the map. We got our north-seeking arrow right here, and to our north and AO Pacific, we got our Maury River, which acts as our main border. To our south, we got Main State Road Nelson and Lee. To our west, we got grid line 36, and to our east, we got grid line 38. Something important to point out, WNL campus is in the southwest corner of AO Pacific, while the VMI campus is in the southeast corner of AO Pacific. And more specifically for us, 1st Platoon will be in NAI Iron, which is this quadrant right here. Obstacles. There's a lot of restricted terrain and dense vegetation. The best fields of fire come from unimproved trails, which allow us to close within the enemy, but at the same time allow us to get compromised by the enemy. And I'll say this now, and I'm going to reiterate it within the brief. We cannot get compromised. Undetected movement is key for this operation. Also, our reconnaissance will be short range, not long range, because of the dense vegetation and all the different vantage points we'll have. Avenues of approach. We have Route Panther, which is yellow, Route Chiefs, which is orange, and Route Seahawks, which is purple and kind of goes into NAI copper. Intelligence tells us that there's been a lot of movement within these routes, so if you're one of the RNS teams or the SNO team, just be mindful when looking at these routes and looking out for LPA forces. Key terrain features. There's basically one main key terrain feature in NAI Iron, and that's Maury Heights, which is 17 Sierra, Papa Bravo, 37158423. We need to recon over this area because this provides a great tactical advantage because of the height it's on. Again, intelligence has said that LPA forces will most likely have this hilltop, but if they don't, we want information so maybe we, as 1st Platoon or as Charlie Company, can take advantage of this. Observation of fields of fire. Maury River is toward north, and it's very low and passable, and that's actually how LPA forces came from north to south into AO Pacific, because they actually just walked across Maury River. Again, SNO and RNS teams, just be mindful if you're near the Maury River. Cover and concealment. The inner visible lines across AO Pacific and between restricted terrain, enemy will most likely use them. So will we though. Weather. Temperature. The temperature will be anywhere between 31 and 62 degrees. The wind can range between 6 to 15 miles per hour coming from the north. Precipitation is 75% chance of rain and can get up to 1 inch. Again, this is important because once we leave the ORP to go to a release point, we're probably going to turtle our rucks and make sure our equipment doesn't get soaked. Cloud cover. There's going to be a heavy cloud cover in our AO. There's going to be a fog bank that settles over the river. Again, this is going to allow us to close within the enemy and going to actually help us so we don't get compromised. Visibility, there's a 30% illumination, and line of sight is 75 to 100 meters. Now let's look at enemy forces. They've been in constant operations in our AO, and especially for 1st Platoon and NAI Iron. Our greatest concern is to know if they're massing forces for an offensive attack, and they're crossing over from north to south to form a larger platoon or even company. Composition. We know with the intelligence that somewhere in this large AO Pacific, there's a platoon-sized element. More specifically, our intelligence tells us that within each NAI, so for 1st Platoon NAI Iron, there's going to be a squad-sized element, which is going to be probably 7 to 8 personnel. Disposition. We've seen that there's been recent activities on Route Panther, Route Chiefs, and Route Seahawks. And again, we expect a squad-size element in AI Iron. Their strength, they have AK-47s, numerous RPGs and RPKs, which is their squad automatic weapon system. Their reserve, now this is very important. They have a platoon-sized element for reinforcements somewhere north of the Mari River, which acts as a QRF. They can be anywhere in AO Pacific in 15 minutes. And the reserve is going to come if we take out a squad-size or larger element. The most likely course of action. LPA will gauge squad size or less and break contact as able to. And then they'll probably meet up at a release point to form a platoon. Their most dangerous course of action. They do not break contact regardless of the squad, regardless of the size of forces. They'll use squad infantry tactics to close with and destroy our forces using base of fire and maneuver elements similar to our infantry tactics. Now let's look at friendly forces. 2 levels up, we've got the Blue Ridge Battalion, which is conducting offensive operations in the AO Marshall in order to destroy LPA forces. AO Pacific is within AO Marshall. 1 level up, Cold Steel Company is conducting a zone reconnaissance in AO Pacific, so this whole area, to understand the disposition, strength, and location of LPA forces in AO Pacific. Adjacent units. To our west, we got 2nd Platoon, which will be conducting an area reconnaissance in NAI Copper, and we got 3rd Platoon to our south, which will be conducting an area reconnaissance in NAI Steel. Mission. Again, please write this down. 1st Platoon will conduct an area reconnaissance on NAI Iron no later than 1800 to identify the disposition, strength, and location of LPA forces in that area. I'll say again. 1st Platoon will conduct an area reconnaissance in NAI Iron no later than 1800 in order to identify the disposition, strength, and location of LPA forces in that area. Alright, let's move on to the execution paragraph. Commander's intent. We need to determine the disposition, strength, and composition on the south side of the Mari River, specifically NAI Iron. As you can see, this is a blow up now. This is NAI Iron specifically, and we'll get more in detail with this. Again, we do not know where the enemy is, so we need to do an area reconnaissance in NAI Iron so we can locate them and provide information to company level on what to do next. And we're going to fill out a PIR, and again, I'll brief those questions that we need to answer later on. In state. The disposition, composition, strength, and location of LPA forces is identified in NAI Iron, and Charlie Company keeps 100% combat power and has no civilian casualties. The PIR is presented to the company commander once RNS teams return back to the release point. Key task. We want to recon possible enemy patrol bases in the vicinity of K1, Mari Heights, which is right here. And again, location, grid coordinates is 17 Sierra, Papa Bravo, 3715-8423. Another key task is undetected movement. As I said earlier, this is very important because without this, the whole reconnaissance is just over, operation has failed. Again, if contact is made with the enemy, we need to break contact and gather at the release point. Another key task is communication between radios. This is very important because a lot of our 1st Platoon is going to be scattered all over the place. As you can see here, RNS Team 1, RNS Team 2, and surveillance observation will be all basically scattered around K1, while our release point is here and our ORP is here. So basically, our platoon is going to be all over the place, and we need communications within the radios to go over and talk about what the enemy is doing. Concept of operation. Accomplish in state by conducting area reconnaissance with 1st Platoon and Iron. Again, undetected reconnaissance to determine the composition, disposition, and strength of LPA forces. We need to gather information for the company commander in order to properly align forces for follow-on operations. Phase 1, planning and preparation, and we are currently in this phase. It starts with the delivery of this order and ends when 1st Platoon crosses the LD, which right now, or which is the outskirts of Company A, and the coordinates for Company AA is 17 Sierra, Papa Bravo, 3733-8406. Some things that are critical for this phase. Platoon level rehearsal, there's going to be more information on that. Platoon level TLPs, which is what we're doing right now, and platoon level communication exercises, which I reiterated key tasks is very important for this reconnaissance. Phase 2, movement. This starts when first platoon crosses the LD and ends when the SNO team is placed, which is right here, and the PL returns back to the release point to begin placing RNS teams. Critical to this phase. Again, undetected movement, compromise is possible. In this phase, we need to establish the ORP, which is going to be right next to the Company A because this area is pretty small, and our ORP graded coordinates are 17 Sierra, Papa Bravo, 3730-8415. Again, SNO teams need to have a solid vantage point so they can see the objective without being seen or heard. And RNS teams will be waiting at the release point during this phase for the PL to return and place them. Phase 3, execution. This starts when the PL places RNS teams in designated areas, right here and right there, ends when the RNS and SNO teams return back to the release point. Critical, as always, is undetected movement to and from the release point and to collect information regarding the PIR. Phase 4, reconsolidation. This starts when the RNS and SO teams return back to the release point and ends when the first platoon, establishes security in the patrol base. Critical for this phase is the PO needs to gather information from the 2 RNS teams so he can answer the PIR, and then he'll send a runner to the Company AA to give it to higher up. After that, we'll establish a patrol base in AI. Schema of maneuver. Phase 1 begins when you guys receive this order and ends when we cross the LD, which is right here again. These are the rehearsals that need to be completed during this phase, and this all occurs in the Company A. Movement, formation, and technique to the ORP from the Company A, and this will probably be a platoon, column, fire team watch. RNS teams also need to understand how to cross an LDA because, as you can see, there's 3 routes: Route Seahawks, Route Chiefs, and Route Panthers, all in NI iron. RNS 1 and RNS 2 teams also need to know exactly where they're going and be able to move from different observation posts using the cloverleaf method. And the LOAs for this reconnaissance is to our north, we've got the Maury River, and more specifically Route Panther, which is the border of Maury River. And to our east, we got grid line 37. If contact is made during this phase and in the Company AA, first platoon, our platoon, will give direct fire to the enemy, and the CCP is actually the Company A, and it also serves as the HLZ. Phase 2. This begins when the platoon crosses the Company A, goes to and ends when the SNO team is in place. And the coordinates for the SNO team is 17 Sierra, Papa Bravo, 3718-8422. Again, when we cross the perimeter of the Company A, which is the LD, we'll travel to the ORP and a column fire team wedge, platoon column fire team wedge. Distance and direction is about 25 meters at 340 degree azimuth. The PO, SNO, the 2 RNS teams will then go to the release point, right here, which is 17 Sierra, Papa Bravo, 3728-8409. Again, the distance and direction from the ORP to the release point is about 50 meters at 285 degree azimuth. The PO will then take the SNO team from the release point and place them at this location, 17 Sierra, Papa Bravo, 3718-8422. And again, the distance direction from the release point to the SNO position is 80 meters at a 320 degree azimuth. Once the SNO team is placed, the PL, myself, will return back to the RP, and this will end Phase 2. Phase 3. The PL returns back to the release point and starts to emplace RNS teams. It ends when the RNS and SNO teams return back to the release point. Again, critical, undetected movement as always, because compromise is not an option. RNS 1 team, right here, will be placed at 17 Sierra, Papa Bravo, 3705, 8448. And the distance direction from the release point to RNS 1 is 100 meters at 340 degrees azimuth. RNS Team 2 will be placed at 17 Sierra, Papa Bravo, 3730, 8430. Again, distance direction from RP to the RNS 2 location is 100 meters at a 40 degree azimuth. Once both RNS teams have been placed, they will start gathering information to answer the PIR, which will be briefed later in the op order. If the RNS teams can accomplish the PIR in the first observation post, they can return back to the RP using a cloverleaf method. If not, they will continue to use the cloverleaf method to find a better observation post without being compromised by LPA forces. The only reason the RNS teams should return back to the RP is if 1. They fill out the entire PIR, 2. They reach the LOA, which again is Route Panther to the north and grid line east. Grid line 37 toward east. Finally, if contact is made with the enemy. I've said it once, I'll say it again. If contact is made with the enemy, it is crucial that we break contact and gather back to the release point. Once again, if contact is made with one of the RNS teams, the SAW will lay down fire while the SNO team lays sustained long fire on the objective. And again, everybody should return back to the release point as quickly as possible. If we take a casualty during this phase, 1, if we can evacuate them without detection, we'll do that. We'll basically break off into smaller units and come and gather the casualty. If not, if the casualty is needed right away, we can send in a 9-line and get them out of that. Again, during this phase, we need to answer the PIR, and we want a full sketch of what you're observing. So I'm talking to you, the RNS teams and the SNO teams. I want you to answer the PIR and start drawing pictures of what you see. Phase 4 starts when the RNS and SNO teams return back to the release point and ends when we establish a patrol base in the vicinity of, so this is in a designated location, but in the vicinity of 17 Sierra, Papa Bravo, 3723, 8414. Again, before we move to our patrol base, the PIR reports need to be reported before we go to the patrol base, and I'll send a runner to the Company A. Tasks and subordinates. Again, first squad, your security squad. First squad leader, I need 2 3-man teams that will form the RNS teams. Second squad, third squad are my Assault 1 and Assault 2. You guys will be staying at the ORP, and if needed, you guys will be called on. The fourth squad, you'll be my weapon squad. Again, Weasel and 2 members of weapon squad will make up the SNO team. Alright, here's the PIR, and this is the most important part of the mission because these are the questions we're trying to answer. What is the size of the enemy elements in the vicinity of Maury Heights? Again, you can't see on the blow-up, but every platoon that is conducting area reconnaissance has a part of Maury Heights, so we want to get as much angles and different eyes on it as possible. What is the disposition of enemy forces and their location? Are they a roving patrol or are they at a fixed position? Are enemy forces massing to form a larger platoon size? What weapon systems do they have? What is their largest? What is their smallest? Are they using vehicles to transport? What size elements are they using? Are they 1 to 2-man teams? Platoon size? Again, are they roving? And as a PL, I'll send a salute format and give it to a runner to give it to the company commander at the Company A. And salute obviously the size, activity, location, uniform, time, and equipment of the enemy. Reports. We will communicate with one another when we cross the LD and if we have any immediate contacts. Again, a salute when we enter the NAI. And we need communications between the PSD at the ORP, the PL and RTO at the release point, SNO teams, and the different RNS teams. Timeline. Time is now 14:40. This brief should end by 14:55. At 15:05, we'll go over our rehearsals. At 15:25, we'll line up. 15:30, we'll cross the LD. At 1630, we will have completed the air reconnaissance. And at 1815, we have established a patrol base in AI. Sustainment, logistics, all weapon maintenance should be complete before we cross the LD. Material and supply. Class 1, every soldier should have 1 MRE and 1 quart of water. Class 5, every man needs 30 rounds of 5.56. Each saw needs 400 rounds. And 7.62 are getting 100 rounds. Transportation, everything is on foot. We have no vehicular transportation. Medical services. For phases 1, 2, and 4, the CCP, this is the company A, which you can see right here. And again, I'll reiterate it. 17 Sierra, Papa Bravo, 3733, 8406. And that also acts as our HLZ. For phase 3, if a casualty is taken, the CCP will be 17 Sierra, Papa Bravo, 3728, 8429. Again, if the casualty needs to be evacuated, we will call a 9-line and get a medevac. However, if no medevac is required, we will take a small element that can break off or return the casualty back to the CCP. And there's only one location for the medevac, which is the HLZ, which is a company A. Command signal. Succession. It's going to be PL, PSG, weapon squad leader, first squad leader, and second squad leader. Company CCP, as always, 17 Sierra, Papa Bravo, 3733, 8406. For phase 1 through 2, company A is a company CCP. And for phase 3, it's a mobile company CCP. I just briefed those. Great coordinates. Call signs. C, Charlie 6 is company commander. PL is going to be Charlie 16. PSG is going to be Charlie 17. Weasel is going to be Charlie 46. The first RNS team is going to be Charlie 26. And the second RNS team is going to be Charlie 36. Challenge password is going to be Fire Baton. Number of combat was 7. Running password is Thunder. And near is going to be PT on person. And far is PT on head. This is a conclusion of my op order. Are there any questions?